Welcome back to the Sipping Sooner. Thank you for joining me again today. Well, today, we just going to get into a little bit of this defensive preview here for the Sooners. We're going to go through and look at some of these key positions and break this down a little bit. Special shout out to my boy Okie Trades, who said, I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts on how the defense will be better this year, position by position, with some background on each player and how they might improve. Well, Okie Trades, you already know what time it is. Go get your drink and let's get it. All right, let's get into this. Let me just come out right now and say this. I'm not gonna shit on our own players and talk bad about some of them, even though some of them might need a little bit of talking about. But we looking for major improvement this year, and I think they will. So let's break it down. Well, let's start with the defensive ends. So with the defensive ends, you got Jonah Laulu moving over from defensive end to defensive tackle. So you could take him out off the edges there. I mean, they might decide to rush him a little bit off the edge, but we'll see. So you bring in Rondell Bothroyd from Wake Forest, transferring in. Dude was very productive at Wake Forest. One of their probably the best play on that defensive line over there. Probably the whole team. And you still bring back Ethan Downs and Reggie Grimes. Ethan will probably start at one end and Rondell at the other end. Reggie, I think, will be coming in on that second unit, along with probably R. Mason Thomas. R. Mason should make quite a bit of a jump this year. You know, he put on a few pounds. I think he's up well over 240 now. So we looking for big things from him. He should have a pretty good breakout year with his explosion off the end. You also added Trace Ford from Oklahoma State. Trace Ford, was very productive until injury slowed him down. He blew his knee out twice, ACLs. But before that, man, I mean, he was putting it down over there at Oklahoma State. Then you got Marcus Stripling. Marcus Stripling been here for quite a while. We keep waiting on the breakout, season from him. It ain't quite came yet. He looked good in the spring, and then we barely seen him in the season. So we'll see what he does this year. But he's got PJ Adebawore nipping on his heels. The 5-star defensive end out of Missouri. Hell of a player. This dude, man, he's the future of the defensive end position. Guy's got a crazy wingspan, excellent explosion, and technically he's still pretty raw himself and dominating already. So look for him to get quite a bit of game as well. Taylor Wine, I don't know how much game he'll get. He might get some in the non-conference action, but I don't think he'll probably get very much once we hit conference play. So look for him to red shirt at the end of it, but the future's bright for him as well. I liked him as Cecilia Connor replacement. That's what I call him. Let's move on to the defensive tackle position. Let's talk about some of the guys on the inside there anchoring down this line. And we're going to first talk about some of the guys that's no longer with the team. whether that's draft, whether that's transfer, or just flat out no longer with the team. So let's begin with Jalen Redmond. He went into the draft. We appreciate him and his time here. He had his issues with his medical issues that kind of hindered him a little bit early in his career. Jeffrey Johnson transferred in from Tulane. He did what he did here. We was hoping to get a little bit more out of Jeffrey, but it is what it is. Josh Ellison, left over from Lincoln and Alex Grinch now. He didn't see a whole lot of time last year. He did the year before, but not last year. Alton Tarver transferred out, never really got to see him, and Cedric Roberts never got to see him, transferred out as well. Now let's talk about the guys that's still here. So let's start with Isaiah Cole. Isaiah Cole's coming back this year, along with Jordan Kelly. Jordan Kelly, probably your most productive. Him and Isaiah Cole, 1A, 1B, the most productive guys on the inside from last year. Redmond, did his thing, but he ain't here. So coming back, those would be the two guys I expect to start. But then I expect to see Jonah Laulu, who moved from defensive end, to get some play on the inside this year, along with the Tennessee transfer, Dejon Terry. So Dejon Terry, I think, is going to be much needed on the inside of this line so he can try to take up those blocks and let these linebackers flow to the play. Grayson Halton, we expect to see him show a little bit this year. He was still young last year, but I think he should be ready to contribute this year. Kevin Gilliam, we waiting on him to show as well. Then you got Ashton Sanders, a freshman. I like Ashton Sanders. I think if he can stick it out, I think we'll start seeing him surface a lot more next year. But he might get some game in non-conference this year. And we still don't know what the status is of Jacob Lacey. At least I don't. As far as, from what I've been hearing, he might not be able to even play this year, because of injuries coming over from Notre Dame. I was excited to see him play this year, but maybe it ain't gonna happen. Now at your linebackers, that's the whole heart of this defense right here. If Danny Stutzman, being the leader and the quarterback of this defense, if he can get those boys lined up and he get those plays called in right and everybody know their assignments, that's where we see the improvement this year. So Danny Stutzman, I think he led or second in the Big 12 in tackles last year, so we'll see him build on that. Now let's talk about the guys that moved on. You got David Ugwoegbu. David Ugwoegbu, decent player. I think he was just a step too slow, as far as his actual foot speed. And then you couple that with the fact that everybody was a little confused. That spelled disaster, even though I think he had over 100 tackles as well last year. So, but if they would actually knew what they was doing out there, could you imagine what they would have been doing last year instead of just out there playing off of instinct? And then you got Deshaun White. Deshaun White was here for a long time. I think, in my opinion, last year was his best year. He had a couple of flashes during the Grinch era, but I think last year was one of his best years. So, all right, let's move on to the guys that's here now. So you got Danny Stutzman. We already touched on him a little bit. And next to him, you should have Jaren Kennett. We seen flashes from him last year, especially in the Nebraska game. Hopefully he can come in and be, consistent and know his assignments and use that athleticism and that great speed that he has to make some plays. Then you also have Shane Whittier. Shane Whittier, we've been waiting for a while from him. Considered one of the fastest linebackers in the room for the last few years. Shane Whittier can fly. He's been out with injuries too. Last year, injury held him out quite a bit. He got in a little bit, but you know, we'll see. Then you start getting into your new guys, your Kobe McKenzie. Kobe McKenzie, I got high expectations for him. Um, I think he's starting to put on that good weight. He's getting a little more agile, so he should be able to flash. He should actually challenge Jaren Connect for the linebacker start. Kobe's been there. He should know the plays and know the assignments. He's been there over a year now. Then you got Kip Lewis. Kip Lewis knows the plays. Coaches love him. Problem with Kip Lewis is that he struggles to keep the weight on. and as long as he struggles to keep that weight on, it almost makes him a tweener, which you don't really want to be in this defense. Not at the weight that he's at, because he's actually in between a linebacker and a safety weight, but without the safety speed. So, hopefully he can figure out a way to keep those pounds on, man, and hit the field, because by all accounts, man, the man is good. He just needs to put on a little weight so he can handle that beating that he's going to take in those trenches down there and in that box. So then let's move over to the transfer. Connor Neer. Connor Neer, nice linebacker from the JUCO ranks, All-American even. Connor Neer should come in and be able to give these guys some depth and some breathers. Let Kanak and Danny Stutzman them have a few plays off, because last year they didn't leave the field at all, especially Danny. Him and Guabu and Deshaun White, man, they was on the field damn near the whole game, out there about to die. So Connor Neer is expected to come in and contribute and be a big piece of the second team and spell these guys. Then you got the new kids, man. Lewis Carter, man. If this dude ever gets to hit the field, you talking about somebody that is violent, plays fast, plays very aggressive. Lewis Carter, man, he's going. If he don't get out there this year, he definitely gonna be out there next year. So be ready. Then you got Phil Picciotti or Picciotti, whichever way you want to say it. Phil, I'm excited to see him as well, man. He's gonna be a good back. He's basically your standard, what you think when you think middle linebacker. That's Phil. So we'll see what those guys can do right there. Then you got the cheetah position. So if we're going to talk cheetah, it starts and ends with Dasan McCullough. Dasan McCullough transferred from Indiana, freshman All-American. We've seen him in the spring game flying around. We've seen him on social media looking all cut. Kind of trying to look like me a little bit. But anyway, Dasan, man, we expect big things from him this year. He should be in a more natural position instead of playing the end, all the time. He should be able to move around. He might see some time at the end on special rush packages, but he should have a pretty steady role as the cheetah. You'll see him dropping back. You'll see him rushing some. So, and then, he's going to be paired up with Justin Harrington. Justin Harrington, we all know he's supposed to be, that dude's a freak, to be that big, that fast, that athletic. But we just need to see him put it together, man, for a whole season. So I'm rooting for him, and then you got the freshman, Sammy Omosigho. This dude is going to be awesome as well. As soon as his time comes, when Justin leaves, I think him and Dasan, they're gonna be sharing that cheetah, man, and it won't be much drop off, because I think Sammy's gonna be a great cheetah. So we'll see how it all plays out. Let's move on to the secondary. So in the secondary, let's start with the cornerbacks. You got Woody Washington coming back to anchor down. He should be on that left side, but they could flip it, whatever. Woody is probably your most consistent cornerback that we have coming back. He does have some help coming in, and Gentry Williams. Big things has been expected of big Gentry Williams for a year now, and so we're gonna get to see more of him. We got to see him a little bit last year. Like I said, another one of those players that should take a leap in his second year. Fast as hell, got plenty of athleticism, and so we looking forward to seeing Gentry out there. Then you got Kenneth Walker, man. I was excited to getting Kenneth Walker because we had shorter defensive backs, with Norwood and Trey Brown, and so I was happy to see us go out and get a bigger cornerback, and so we'll see, man. Once again, it's another player who second year in the system. We should see him take a step forward as well. Kendall Dolby, the transferred JUCO player. Man, a lot of people think this guy, there is no limit to his potential, man. If he just goes ahead and grasps this playbook, we should see plenty of Kendall Dolby as well this year. And then you get into the Young Bucks. You got Jacoby Johnson. Oh, man. Just athlete. Just straight up athlete. Makari Seatbelt Vickers. I was very excited to see us win his commitment over Alabama. Makari, man, yeah. Even at the, I think it was the Under Armour, it was one of those All-American games, man. When they was in practice, the guys were saying that Makari Vickers, man, was shutting stuff down. So, yeah, I'm excited to see him in action. And then you got the Bulldog, Josiah Wagner. Coach has been raving about him all spring and summer. So we'll see. He's a little more undersized than the rest of these guys, but dude is all heart, man, and fight, man. So you can sign me up for that every time, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing Josiah Wagner go. And let's talk about some of the guys that they lost, man, from back there. You had Jaden Davis. He transferred out. I think he ended up at Miami, back in Florida. He's from Florida. So, I appreciate all he did here. I remember when he busted on the scene as a freshman. We was like, okay. And then, he kept getting a start every year. And then you look up 2-3 games into the season, all of a sudden he's kind of on the second team. And then further back, it's like, damn, what happened, man? All right. Then you got DJ Graham, who went from cornerback to wide receiver. So hopefully he can hit the field and show something as a wide receiver this year. He made a nice little play in the spring game as well. We none of us will ever forget the interception against Nebraska. So, good on him, man, for making that moment. Then you had Trey Morrison. Him and Justin Broyles decided to test the draft. So I think Broyles was actually all the way out of eligibility either way. I don't know if Morrison could have came back or not, but he decided to go ahead and enter into the draft. And so that was that. Then you had Jordan Mukes. Man, I was excited about Jordan Mukes because he was a big dude, man. Very athletic, but raw. But I was hoping to see him, hit the field or get a chance to get on the field a little bit more than he did. But he transferred out right along with Joshua Eaton, Kendall Dennis, and Bryson Washington, all transferred out. And so they made way for the new young guys coming up. So, hey, we're going to see what it do. Let's go over the safeties, where the man is. So, Billy Bowman. I think could have an All-American type year this year. He definitely should have been on the preseason All Big 12 team, but we already know those raggedy ass. Don't make me say it. But anyway, Billy Bowman's gonna have a wonderful year, I think, this year, man. He's only gonna get better. And then probably backing him up, you looking at the youngster, Peyton Bowen, man. I don't think they're gonna be able to keep him off the field. Dude's too talented, just too good, man. Between him and Billy, man, it don't even matter which one is in the game, man. Especially Brent Venables said that Peyton Bowen's grasping the playbook real quick, real easy. He said football just comes easy for him. So hopefully we get to see him on the field and put some of those skills to use with the quickness. Then you got Robert Spears Jennings, man. That's another dude with unlimited potential. Injuries, sidetracked him, quite a bit. But hopefully we get to see him, because a lot of people are excited to see Robert get out there and make some plays as well. Then you still got Damon Harmon, he's still back there. Man, we gotta love us some Damon Harmon, man. Putting his body on the line, even with his injury, that looked scary, but thankfully he wasn't severely injured. But yeah, I like Damon Harmon. But he's kind of lost in the room there for a little bit. It's a lot of guys in front of him with a lot of talent, man. But he's serviceable though, for real. Then we brought in Reggie Pearson from Texas Tech. Reggie Pearson, I think, will be starting at the other safety position opposite of Billy. We already know, hard hitter. Dude tried to put Dylan in a coma last year, man. I mean, man, he knocked shit out of Dylan, man. I mean, yeah, that was a serious lick. But Reggie, man, ain't scared to come down and lay that boom. We need an enforcer. Billy is a different type. Billy a hit, but he ain't finna hit like Reggie. Reggie gonna knock your ass out. All right. Then you got Key Lawrence. Key Lawrence is similar to Justin Harrington for me. Another guy that, needs to be a little bit more consistent, man. But Key can play, man. He can play, especially now. I think that he gets to concentrate on one position. I think you'll see him make a few more plays this year. Then you got, a couple of the youngsters. You got Dave McCullough, the younger brother of Deshaun. I don't expect to see a whole lot from him this year. I think he definitely gonna redshirt, but look for him in the future, man. Look for him. Then you got Eric McCarty. Man, Eric McCarty, man, another athlete. Dude's gonna be really good, man. A lot of people don't really understand how good this cat could be. I'm really excited to see him get a chance. He might not get much of one this year, but I expect to see him in the future. So with that, man, that's the defense. That's the defensive guys that we working with this year. There might be, a couple other people. Where's Jaden Rowe? I don't know where Jaden Rowe is, but man, I was excited for him too. I don't even know what position he gonna play, corner or safety this year. But either way, man, I think these guys, like I said, man, I keep saying it over and over and over. It's the second year in the system. A lot of these guys will actually be able to use their athleticism to their advantage this year, and actually know where to apply it. So look for the Sooners, man, to make a substantial jump. I think if we could have, I'm going to say a top 30. If we could just get to a top 30 defense, I think we win this conference easy. So I hope, everything goes as planned. What time it is. Sipping Sooner. I'm out this bitch. Peace.